Hey YouTube, Kimania, I am Sha.
And I'm Ju. Together we are
Sha and Ju. Welcome back to our channel. So today we will be making Pad Thai, but with a twist. We're going to have lobster in ours. Pad Thai is a staple dish that you can find in Thailand everywhere, from street food to high-end restaurants. It's going to be very cheap to very expensive. There's a few different versions of it. There's a chicken version, there's a tofu version, there's a shrimp version. But ours will definitely have crunchy lobster. For those of you that are new here, you know that the recipe will be in the description box below. Before we get into cooking, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave your notification bell on at all times so you can get more amazing recipes. Let's get into it!
Lunes, me llamo Tarzán y la gente me dice ¿cómo es?
El rey de la cena.
Jane es perfecta gracias a sus raíces. ¿Sabes cómo es?
El rey de la cena.
Ando con mis leones cazando los ciervos. ¿Cómo es?
El rey de la cena.
Yo soy jefe todo de leones a cerdo. ¿Cómo es?
El rey de la cena.
So, as promised, we're making Pad Thai. I laid out a few ingredients here. Ours is a little different. If you come closer, I can explain how and what we're using. So the main ingredients that you will be needing to make your Pad Thai is obviously the rice sticks. We chose the thicker ones, but you can choose any size you want. Just make sure you read the instructions on the back of your package so you know how long they take to cook. We actually are going to use very nice and thick lobster tails in our Pad Thai today. Usually Pad Thai has chicken and shrimp, but today ours is gonna feature lobster. We have some bean sprout that we grew ourselves, some garlic stems also that we're gonna use, dark soy sauce, salt and pepper, some lobster oil that I made myself, a lime and some peanuts for garnish. The chilies we're gonna add some while cooking and we're gonna use some for garnish. This is some tamarind paste. It's just tamarind broken up from the shells and put into a package. It's usually very tart and sour. We have an egg and some cloves of garlic. We actually went lobster diving in Cuba, and I got, with a guy that I went diving, maybe 15 pieces of lobster. As promised, we grew our own bean sprouts. It's very easy to do. All you need is a plastic bottle, poke a few holes in it, put some mung beans, soak them for a few hours, and then every day water them for 5-6 minutes. And after 4 or 5 days, this is what you get. Once your sprouts are out of the bottle, give them a quick shake so you untangle them, and give them a quick rinse and let those drain while we proceed with the other ingredients. We are actually going to start preparing for the Pad Thai by cutting the garlic stems. Very easy. You want to cut them lengthwise but not too short because you still want to see them in the Pad Thai when you cook. So this is about 5-6 centimeters long, and you're going to do that for the rest of your garlic stems, and you can put them away in a bowl. I will now show you how to cut your lobster. I will be using one lobster tail, which is around 6 ounces for one person. It is really easy. We're going to take it out of the shell, cut it up into pieces, put it in a bowl, marinate it with a little salt and pepper. You want to put your lobster lengthwise. Take a big knife that's a little higher than the lobster if you have. Put at the base of your tail, press hard, and with a really swift motion, go down one time. And this should cut your lobster in half. There you go, lobster done. So now what you want to do is remove the flesh from the shell. That comes off pretty easy as well. You just have to grab the biggest chunk and pull. And you should also devein it. There's a vein in the middle, you want to get rid of that. Once your lobster is unshelled, what you want to do is cut them into chunks, but not too small chunks. You still want to feel them when you eat them, and you don't want them to disintegrate when you cook them. So I would say half a lobster tail you could cut in 4, 5, 6 pieces depending on how big they are. We're going to put all of this in a bowl, put a little salt, and a little cracked pepper. Once you have salt and pepper in your lobster, give it a nice toss and set it aside for later. For this next step, you will need rice sticks, 100 gram per person, and tamarind paste, 10 gram per person, and hot water as much as you want. You are going to pour some over the tamarind, and we are going to let this soak for 10 minutes. And you want to pour some hot water over your rice noodles. These are gonna soak for 8 to 10 minutes until they like soft enough so you can like press through them. We'll check it together in a bit. After a minute, those are gonna go a little soft and they're gonna start sinking into the water. You wanna push them down just to make sure everything gets soaked and everything gets at the same consistency. You know your noodles are ready when you grab them and you pull them apart and it just snaps. So you want to strain all of your noodles. Might still be warm at this point, so watch out. And give them a quick rinse with cold water. Toss them around until they're all cooled down and then let them strain away. Once you're comfortable enough to put your fingers in and the water is not too hot, just gently massage everything that's in your tamarind. Because it's a little dry, you want to hydrate everything and make sure you're getting the pulp mixed together. And then we are going to remove all the sediments that have set in here, and we are going to keep only the juice. Once you have taken every big piece out of your tamarind paste water, you're going to strain it. Make sure you press it down so you take all the water out of it. Now that this is strained, it should look like thick brown water. Ju, do you want to taste it?
Definitely. Thank you. It's really tangy, just like your favorite tamarind juice that you normally make.
We should make that one day.
Actually, yes.
Right? While everything is prepared already, we are going to work on the garnish. For that, you will need your Thai chili peppers, your lime, your garlic cloves, and your peanuts. We are going to start with the peanuts. We're going to chop them. You want them still coarse, but not finely powdered.
And are those salted or unsalted?
Those are salted. You can use unsalted ones if you want. If you don't want to use peanuts, you want to use cashew nuts, go ahead. If you want to use peas, go ahead. If you want to use popped lentils, go ahead. Whatever you want.
Just to add a little bit of crunch and texture, right?
Most of the time in Thailand, it's peanuts though.
True. This dish anyways is like, just speaking Thailand. It's the main dish you'll find everywhere.
Right, you can find it on the streets, you can find it in restaurants. Everyone will offer it to you. Everyone knows how to make it.
Everyone has their own version of it.
True.
We actually had pad thai a few times while we were in Thailand.
Yep.
But never with lobster, so...
That's our first one.
True.
We had different versions of it. We had the tofu, we had some with tofu, we had some with chicken, we had some with shrimp.
In Bangkok, the one that, as per Lonely Planet, was the best one in the city, there was a lineup of what? 50 people? Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe 25. So smart as we are, we're like, take out please. And then we had it on this like random little bench in the middle of the street. First pad thai in Vietnam, in Thailand. We got the takeout version because there was a line of like 1,000 people.
And this one has shrimp and eggs. Shrimp, oil, and eggs.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any shrimp. For sure. Has some tofu though.
Supposed to be the best pad thai in Bangkok.
Really good though.
Yeah, so you get like a little goodie bag with like seasoning you're gonna add. So in Thailand, it's really usual to add sugar to the dish. So sugar, chili, and peanuts. And then some sprouts and green onions as well. So the place is called Tip Samai Street.
True.
Well, it was pretty good.
That's the day we went for our Michelin tour as well.
True. We had a lot of good food that day.
So you want to chop the peanuts not too fine, not too coarse. Make sure you get a good crunch when you eat them later. Next up is the garlic. You want around 2 cloves of garlic per person. If you want more garlic, go ahead. If you want less garlic, go ahead. You want to cut the base of the garlic and then everything just comes off. While I'm peeling the garlic, let me tell you more about the lobster oil. So I actually save the lobster shells and then I take an oil that has very light flavor. For example, I use canola oil. You can use sunflower oil. If you prefer olive oil, please go ahead. But then you need to find the right temperature to cook it. What I do, I put the lobster shells in a pot and then I put the oil, I put it on a stove, I let it boil.
Just the shells as is, right?
Just the shells as is. And you let it simmer. If you don't want to burn yourself because sometimes you will still have water in your shells, you can roast your shells a little before and then you can cook them in oil. Or you could just put a lid on top of it. And you want to cook it on a medium to low heat until you see that the lobster shells don't bubble anymore.
And then you just keep it for your next pad thai.
I put mine in the freezer and I take it out every time I want to use it. It keeps longer. Now that your garlic is chopped, we're going to put it away and start with the lime. All you want to do with your lime is either cut it in quarters or cut it in half. I am going to cut mine in quarters. This lime smells so fragrant and so fresh right now. I want to drink it in a tamarind juice. And you also want to take as many chili peppers as you want and just slice them in half. Not all the way, just open them up. And you can keep 2 whole ones to garnish later also if you want. Or I would keep 2 on the side for me to munch on later. Right, Ju?
Yeah, no munching for me, just for you.
Now that we have everything prepared, let's get cooking. I will start by heating up my pan and using my lobster oil here. Because I use canola oil for my lobster oil, I can cook with it on a very high heat. For example, if you used olive oil, you wouldn't be able to cook with it, but rather put it in salad most.
I like the color of the lobster oil. It's really orange.
It's very orange, right? It looks beautiful. So right now I have put about 4 tablespoons of lobster oil in there. You want to have enough so you can cook everything and the rice noodle don't stick to the bottom later. And it just gives that nice round texture when the noodles are cooked. Once your oil is in the pan, turn your heat up.
While the oil is heating up, let me tell you a little bit about the history of pad thai. Up until the Second World War, rice dishes were dominating Thailand's food scene. But then during the Second World War, there was a prime minister called Phi Bun, and he introduced this dish as he was worried for the integrity of the country. Why? Because they were surrounded by a lot of colonies at that time and there was a big regional diversity. Therefore, he introduced this dish. The original name of the dish is Lobster Pad Thai, which translates to stir-fried rice noodles, Thai style. Again, taking the rice noodles from China and infusing it with the flavors of Thailand. Additionally, he wanted to improve the diet of his people as well as hygiene, as Pad Thai generally is cooked in a clean pan.
When your oil is warm enough, put in your lobster. And garlic. You want to lightly cook this, just so you color it a little. Once the lobster is lightly cooked, we are going to add the noodles. You want to add a good handful in the middle, and then turn your heat down. Mix everything together, make sure that oil gets mixed in with the noodles properly. This is what is going to give it all its flavor. You want to slowly cook your noodles because you want them to actually just cook a little and brown a little. You want this on a very low to medium heat so you allow the noodles to cook all the way properly. I am going to cover mine so that all the water that's still in the noodles are going to help it steam a little. If later you notice that you still need a little water in your noodles, we're going to add a little water. Let's just let this cook for right now and then we'll see how they do in a minute. Let's check on our noodles. How you know when they're ready? When you press them with the tongs, for example, or the spoon or the spatula that you're cooking, and it actually just break the noodles, you know it's cooked. So we're going to push the noodles to the side now, and we are going to add the egg. To fry the egg, I'm now going to add 2 more teaspoon of lobster oil, just to enhance the flavor a little. And then you want to crack the egg and put it in the middle of your pan. Let this cook away just a little, and then we are going to scramble it and then mix it in the noodles. In the meantime, you also want to season your noodles with a little salt, a little cracked pepper, you also want to put some tamarind water in your noodles. And a little soy sauce. You notice that when we were doing all this, the egg had a chance to cook. So what you want to do now is scramble it around. But don't mix it in the noodles yet. You want the egg to cook a little more. Once your egg is almost cooked, turn your heat up all the way and mix everything in. Let this all mix together and let the flavors concentrate for a few seconds. Before you want to add it a big handful of sprouts. And a good dose of garlic stems. You want to add a pinch of white sugar, which I actually forgot to mention at the very beginning. And now stir everything together.
Starting to look like pad thai.
You want to cook the vegetables a little. That's why I put this much, because the vegetables are going to lose a little water and they're going to be a little softer. So you want to cook the vegetables a little before we plate them. Now that the pad thai is ready, let's plate it together. Let me show you how. You want to grab a good portion of your noodles, put them at the bottom of the plate, and then just keep piling it up until it becomes a big mountain of pad thai. I think that's a good portion.
For both of us.
We will now garnish our pad thai. For that, you want your crushed peanuts, good amount, for crunchiness, piece of lime, or 2 pieces of lime if you prefer. And then you want your chili peppers, obviously. How many would you like, Ju?
None. I'll have a tiny bite.
And just sprinkle some of that lovely lobster oil on top.
It looks really yummy already, I have to say.
Et voila, our pad thai is ready. It smells so good. Ju, you want to come over so we can taste it together?
Let's dive into it. Sha, why don't you try the first bite and let us know?
I will, actually.
It looks really beautiful, actually. I'm really excited to give this one a try, especially because it has lobster as the star ingredient versus the versions that we've tried in Thailand so far. So we made our own little version. Didn't take so long after all, really just 20-30 minutes. So definitely a simple, nice Thai recipe for you to try.
The first time I made pad thai, I thought it was going to be longer, but it's really quick and easy, so I thought I'd share it with you. Actually, the noodles taste really nice. They're really chewy, right consistency. The lobster is really good. Very springy as well. And then the vegetables just give everything that real little freshness. I think I love it. I love this version of it.
Me too, definitely. The dish came together really nicely. Everything complements itself together. And then of course the peanuts on top give a nice little extra crunch. The lime gives it that little kick, acidity level. And then if you're into chilies, that chili will definitely give you a kick as well. So good job.
So if you like this video today, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and leave your notification bell on at all times so you can get fun and easy recipes like this.
Thank you so much for watching today. Tschüss, and until next time.